And there's no evidence that he's being oppressed, even though maybe he should be.
I don't think I...
And joining us tonight on the debate for the full hour, Jordan Peterson, professor of psychology at the University of Toronto and the author of Maps of Meaning, The Architecture of Belief. Well, thanks everybody for being here this evening for what I'm sure will be a stimulating discussion. We want to remind everybody that our Thursday program is always informed by our viewers. So they have sent us their emails online telling us what show they think we ought to do. And tonight we had quite a conversation going online about this, so this is what we're doing tonight. We also would invite all of you to be involved in the broadcast. Send us your Twitters, your emails, however you like to get to us at the agenda at tvo.org, the agenda at tvo.org. We'll try to get as many of your questions and comments on the air as possible over the course of the hour. I want to put up two emails that we received already, and this will start our discussion this evening. Here's the first one. It says, pure and simple, I'm a theist, and I think the ads are wonderful. The ads in question we will see in a second. Here's the second one. I am so glad to see that finally another view will be aired to the public. As agnostic, leaning strongly towards atheism, and an active humanist, I feel that our voices have been silenced for too long. We've had to endure the ever-accepted presence of religious oppression in our society. We have far too long been forced to remain in the closet about who we are for fear of bigotry. Let's flip that over. And hatred towards us, and even threats of violence simply because we do not believe in God, Zeus, Allah, or any other so-called higher supernatural power. Humanists believe in reason, justice, equality, fairness, and compassion for all humans. Well, what are we talking about here tonight? We are talking about something that Toronto's transit system has decided to start, a new ad campaign for atheism. Shall we show this? Here it comes. There's probably no God, so says the ad. Now stop worrying and enjoy your life. That's what the ads say, the so-called atheist bus. So let's go around the horn and get some opinions on this. There's probably no God. Now stop worrying and enjoy your life. Rob Buckman, first impressions.
Well, I love the English campaign. The word probably was put in by the Advertising Standards Association. There's no proof, which of course there can't be. The great thing is if you can get over the idea that there's probably no God, so we're on our own to sort out our own messes. And in many respects, it's that bit. It's not, there's no point in a sterile argument whether there is or is not. It's only the influence on behavior that really matters. So I absolutely welcome it.
Justin, what's the purpose of these ads?
To generate the discussion that I think we've seen, to really bring atheists and non-theists into the mainstream. And we've seen that. The United Church and various secular and liberal-leaning Muslim and Christian and Jewish organizations have joined us to have a discussion on our website, on their websites, to really take this to the next level and show people that atheists have a point of view, not just on God, but on questions of ethics, questions of free expression, questions of religious accommodation, some of the really very important questions of the day.
Kathy, your view when you saw this ad?
Well, it's certainly an improvement. I'm old enough to remember when the public face of atheism was Madeleine Marie O'Hare, a rather purposefully unattractive woman who was so universally despised that she ended up being, someone dismembered her with a chainsaw. So I'd like to congratulate everybody for at least toning it down slightly and presenting a slightly more attractive view. At least we know that no one is going to be left to die in the desert over this.
Greta Vosper.
I was amused when I first saw the ad because the first time I saw a picture of it, it had a picture of Richard Dawkins beside it. And I thought, how on earth did they get away with putting probably in there with Richard Dawkins? Because his idea of probably is that it should be completely taken out of the language relating to God. He's vitriolic about anyone who assumes that the tiny little whiff of a possibility should be completely expunged. So I laughed when I saw the probably. The conversation has to take place for exactly the same reasons that have been articulated already. But I do think that we need to get beyond just the conversation about whether there is or whether there isn't to how it affects our lives and how we choose to live our lives, whether we do or whether we don't believe in God.
We shall do some of that tonight. Jordan, your thoughts?
I think it's a juvenile publicity stunt pulled off by people who really neither know about nor care about the actual issues.
Get off the fence and tell me what you really think. Really, no redeeming features whatsoever? You've heard Justin say it's actually kind of provoked a bit of discussion?
Well, I don't really regard atheists as an oppressed group personally. I don't think there's any real historical evidence for that, especially in North America and Europe, and at least recently. And I think the debate is going fine without this sort of stunt, and I think it's basically a media manipulation ploy.
If I
It's a
can
good
just
one.
intrude in there, if I may. You say the discussion's going fine, but I think you're alluding to the theist club discussion. You see in the pages of our national papers that religious organizations are frequently invited to discuss issues of ethics, issues of the interplay between science and faith, issues of the reasonable accommodations of religion. You rarely see an atheist or a proclaimed secular humanist from an organization or not actually being invited to participate until relatively recently. So when you say that our country is becoming more pluralistic,
I
more,
didn't say that.
well, you're saying that we're including more people in the discussion. I think
No,
you're
I didn't say
ignoring the
that
fact that
either.
atheists are not part of that discussion until
Look,
quite recently.
you've seen Dawkins, you've seen Hitchens, you've seen all these guys that write these books on atheism get massive amounts of media play. So it's not like they're excluded. If anything, they're dominant. So I
Starting
don't buy
about
that
3
for a
years
bit.
ago, that's correct.
What's that?
Richard Dawkins' book came out about 3 to 4 years ago.
Yeah, so
And-
I'd like, and it's got a perfectly fine, perfectly fine reception. I mean, and there's no evidence that he's being oppressed, even though maybe he should be.
I don't think I used the word oppressed, did I?
I think his point
Well,
is it's a
maybe
fairly
not.
recent phenomenon that non-believers have been invited to partake in
I
this
don't
discussion.
agree. What
You don't
about
agree?
Bertrand Russell? I mean, Why I Am Not a Christian is still in print. God love